Attention.
If you stop this podcast recording at any time,
you will die.
I don't want to die.
Do you want to live?
You have 24 hours to share this podcast with 5 people or you will die.
I'm kidding, you won't die. You're just weak shit for not sharing.
And the winner of the best motherfucking podcast goes to...
Black with no cream.
What do you think?
It's so fucking dumb and so fucking Ben Haggerty.
I knew you would say that.
And we are back with another Black with No Cream podcast. New episode every single Sunday. I'm your host, Ben Haggerty, aka Ben Real Verse World. And I gotta tell the truth, we haven't been putting out an episode every single Sunday. That hasn't been true. I always say that in the intro, and I said it again. But I am going to start putting them out every Sunday. It's just that I've been on tour with Beyonce and Jay-Z for the last 6 months. I've been gone or something, touring all over the world. And prior to that, I was with Beyonce doing Coachella for several months. So it's been difficult to stay on top of the podcast. Usually it would come out every single Sunday, but it just hasn't. I'm sorry and blah, blah, blah. But now we back. I'm done from tour. It's been a long, good run, but I'm back home in Los Angeles, California, and I'm ready to start this podcast back up, and I'm more excited than ever. That's why I wanted to make this episode, so I could just kind of update everyone on my life, because it's been insane, and I feel very terrible that I haven't been able to do this podcast, because this is probably one of my favorite things I've been doing the past couple of years. It's a great outlet to, share advice and tips and things like that, and interview some amazing creators. Let me explain, if you're new to this podcast, let me just explain what this is, okay? So the name of it is called Black with No Cream Podcast. Black with No Cream is a content creator group that I started it 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago. It started on Facebook. It's a Facebook, private group on Facebook, full of creators from all over the world that have somehow found me through my content and shit that I make. They all started joining, and the idea was that I wanted to create a space where we could all get together and share our thoughts and ideas, ask for advice, pass along tips and tricks and things like that to each other, to try to make everyone a better creator. I feel like from my position, I've done a bunch of shit and I've learned a lot, and there's no reason for me not pass these things that I've learned on to other creators, especially for me being back home when I was in Iowa. That's where I was born and raised. I always was looking for advice and trying to find the tricks and the trades of the industry and all this shit, but I was limited in the space that I was coming from because it was Iowa. There was nothing but corn and, college towns and shit, but I wasn't able to learn things that I really wanted to learn about music and about film and photography and being a creative and all that. So that's why I started the space. And it's been really fucking dope. It's been pretty insane. We have almost 4,000 members, I want to say, in the community. You have to fill out a form to get in and get accepted. And once you're in, you're in. It's just insane. Everyone's sharing the most epic content that they're creating daily. They're asking questions all the time. They're getting responses. It's just flooded with a bunch of dope shit. And I think people are able to actually grow within this community. And what's even cooler is that people have been able to meet each other in real life. This created a space. Imagine, say I'm in Iowa and I'm creating, and I'm obsessed with videos, I'm obsessed with photos, I want to make music videos, whatever I'm just creating some fake ass version of what I did. But I have no one else in my surrounding that is similar or like-minded. So what's cool that I've noticed about Black with No Cream is that people are able to actually find those peers. They're able to build real relationships with other people that are like-minded like them, that want to strive and do this type of shit and go hammer it all the time. And they actually are building relationships, which is dope. And they're meeting each other. They're actually getting together and creating meetups. We've had several meetups so far that have been organized by different people in the group, and they're all getting together, sharing the shit, and hanging out and just getting to meet with each other. And while I was on this tour, I was able to go and meet with a couple of the members of Black with No Cream, which has been really cool, in Amsterdam and Paris and I don't even know where all I was at, but some people out in Texas, and I don't know, just random times where people in the community would hit me up and be like, yo, you're gonna be here playing a show this day, could you come link up, blah blah, blah before. So anytime I had actual time, I would try to link up and get coffee and stuff and just hear people out. And it was really cool to see that, you know, this community actually brings people together, and it's not only just like bringing people together for friendships, but everyone's getting work out of it. They're able to start kind of meet each other, figure out who's good at what, and then, you know, when jobs come along, oh shit, I need an editor. I just met this dude and he lives in the same town as me, and now I can hire him to be my editor or whatever, you know. So I'm really, really, really excited about Black Window Cream, and this podcast was created as another way for me to try to fuel more educational content to the community. My goal was, you know, as I work in LA or wherever and work on jobs, I meet a lot of dope creators that have accomplished a lot of dope shit in their life, and I have a lot of good conversations with them, and I feel like those conversations are very valuable and could do a lot for anyone, really. Not just up and coming creators, but just creators of all kinds, established creators, expert people. Like, I mean, I learn shit every single time I talk to these people. So what I started doing was sitting down with these different people. I've talked to rappers, photographers, videographers, you know, different types of musicians, managers of musicians. I've talked to public speakers. I've talked to nonprofit organizers. I've talked to fucking YouTubers. I've talked to everybody. I've talked to so many different types of people. And the way they create their art and share their stories is just, you can't, you know, learn it any other way. And a lot of these people don't have an opportunity to share these stories on their platform because there's just no way to do it. Sometimes we talk up to 3 fucking hours in a conversation, but the shit that you can get out of that 3-hour conversation, especially me I'm always, you know, being a student, I like feel I can really, really learn from different stories that I hear on different podcasts that I tune into, and that information is just so valuable to me. And I feel like if I can, you know, squeeze the juice out of each creator I talk to and try to get the most out of them as far as lessons, as far as like what they've gone through, things to not do because they already did it for you and made those fuck ups. Now you don't have to make that fuck up because they just told you what they did and how to prevent it in the future. And, you know, there's all kinds of good lessons that I've been getting out of this podcast. But anyway, yeah, so if you are new and you're a creator and you want to join Black Window Cream, you can just go to bwnc.com/join and just fill out the form, and you'll be in the group in no time. Introduce yourself to the community, share a little of your work, and just, you know, start talking to people. Like, I think that's the most important piece, is that we need to communicate with each other and we need to work together, and there's no, you know, there shouldn't be competition. You should always just be able to work and try to like push each other and build each other up and kind of like formulate unity as far as like that goes. But I think where I really want to see us go is to have more community organization, build up like true meetups and find ways to like connect dots with people and really build chapters of Black Window Cream all around the world, because it's already happening organically, which is sick as fuck to me. But I want to do it even more. So it's like, sorry, I get lost in this shit because I'm like just so anxious to get back into Black Window Cream and building it out, and I have so many fucking ideas, and it's really just me and a few other homies that are trying to like make this shit happen. So I get lost on tangents when I start thinking about how dope this shit's gonna be. But I made a little bullet point list of things I wanted to kind of cover. But so let's just talk about what I've been doing the last 8 months. 8 months I started doing Coachella with Beyonce. She performed there. She hadn't performed in like 2 years, and so she had this big fucking show. It was insane. It was massive. Coachella, she killed it both weekends. Leading up to that, there was rehearsals, so I started working with them, doing some like, you know, behind the scenes type shit, and eventually got kind of fell into the role of running a gimbal that would be live streamed during her show. So my camera, you know, when you're in the crowd, you get to see the big screens or whatever and see what her show is. I had like a really important role, and it got really nuts, and it was like kind of terrifying and really dope at the same time and exhausting. But for, you know, a few months we worked on this show and choreography, every camera angle, you know, like it was like really intense. And so like at the beginning of her show, if you go search clips, this clip was shared all the time on, it's like the reveal of Beyonce. Starts with my camera, and it's like down, and I like lifted shit up, and Joy's sitting there with the drums. She's like, ba, 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 ba. And then she moves out of the way, and there's some dancers with flags, like, ba, 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 ba. The flags move out of the way, and I like come through all smooth, and I'm holding this fucking 30-pound Movi with a Alexa Mini, and this, I don't even remember what lens I had on there, but just heavy as fucking. I'm like coming through, and then there's some dancers. They're doing a little thing, then they move, and then I come through them, and B's sitting there with like this ill ass outfit, and she like turns around, and then I backtrack, and I'm walking backwards, and my homie Dave is like, he's a sidebar. Dave's my guy, and we'll talk more about Dave later. But that story is crazy about Dave. But anyway, Dave's making sure I don't fall, so he's guiding me backwards, and I'm like filming. We take her all the way back to the A stage. It was like this crazy. The shots I had in that shit were fucking nuts, and it was really dope to get through it, because when we did that first Coachella's 2 weekends, the first weekend was so nuts. That first shot, we're sitting out there waiting, and it's like you have like I don't know how many people were in the crowd, like 100,000 people or something. And we're just standing out there waiting for the show to start, and my legs were so jello-y that like when I had to do that first maneuver, I like walked all the way to her, and when she turned around, I'm supposed to walk backwards, I felt like I could just sit down. Like my legs were just about to give out. I was just gonna be like, fuck, move on without me, do the show without me. Shit was crazy. Like just the noise and the pressure, and then make sure I don't fuck up is so nuts. But got that shot out of the way, and the rest of it was just like rehearsal. Like I didn't know there was 100,000 people watching me, and we got all the shots. The shots were insane. Like that show was so sick. But anyway, that was dope. And then they liked me from that and decided to bring me on the tour. B&J put together their On the Run 2 tour. So I got to go do that and shoot, content for just the tour, and we got some ridiculous footage, as you can see on my Instagram, and then on B's Instagram there's a bunch of cool edits, and then on her website basically we were putting up like little GIFs. We just take like moments from the show and create little like GIFs for the website, because I could play GIFs on there, and made sure after every single show we had like a gang of GIFs for just moments from the show that would pair well with the photography. They had some amazing photographers on the tour. Robin, Raven, Andrew killed that shit. Then me and Dave were shooting these like little micro moments or whatever every single night, and it was a long run. We did all of Europe, the UK, for a couple months, and then we were over in the US and Canada for a couple months, and it was like, I think we've been on the road for like 6 months, and it was challenging because I wanted to continue to do Black with No Cream from the road, but our schedules are always so random, and we're working so much that I want to work as hard as I can on that to make sure my content is the illest shit possible. So you work till you pass out. You just need to go to sleep for a little while, get back up and work again, hop on a bus, then you travel, and you know what I mean? So it's just like constant moving and changing places. It's hard to like sit down and truly focus on something above and beyond just the tour. But we recorded a couple podcast episodes. It was like solo episodes and shit. Me and Dave did, we did like, some like, I don't really know what you call it, like group chat type shit where we just would talk on a subject. So a couple of the last episodes were just like us talking about a stabilizer, or us talking about like vertical videos on Instagram and shit like that. So that's what a couple of the last episodes were. It's not what I want. I primarily would love to just interview people. And so now that I'm back, that's what you're going to start seeing is a lot of interviews. If I do solo episodes, they'll be structured in a good format. Like I think for solo episodes, ideally I want an interview every Sunday, right? And then in between that, potentially having like a solo episode that comes out like midweek, like Wednesday or some shit like that, where I just kind of talk on a subject that the community wants me to talk about, or discuss like a certain question that someone might have, or just like I don't know, anything. But I want to have it make sense, and then I want to also make sure that these podcasts start to highlight members within our community, because we have some insane creators in there sharing some dope shit, and they need some love. So I'm gonna really, really start fucking dumping all of my energy into Black with No Cream now that I'm home, so that I can really ramp it up and make everyone have an opportunity to be seen, everyone have an opportunity to connect with each other, everyone have an opportunity to learn. These are like some of the most like crucial things to me. And for me to just make it a real educational platform is so cool. Like I didn't really think of it as an educational platform. I've just always said, oh, it's a cool community where people can learn from each other. And yeah, it's like education, but I want to build out actual elements that are easy for people to dive into and learn from, and for it to kind of be just as simple as possible to find what you're looking for. You know, there's a lot of people that get in there and ask questions all the time that people may have answered before, but I think if we find a way to build it out, so whether it's in the Black with No Cream website or something like that, it's just I want it just to be a fucking shit ton of tools about anything, you know, like, I don't know. There I go again, getting excited. I need to drink this coffee right quick. Hold on a second, people. Let me read my notes too. I wanted, I guess, something that I learned from being on this tour, and let me describe the tour to you. It's fucking huge, okay? We would play in front of like thousands of people every single night. Like I think we played it for like 100,000 people at one point. I don't remember the true stats, but we played in some Olympic arenas. We played in like all football stadiums in America, like all the football, like soccer stadiums in Europe were so big and all this shit. We played to so many people. And every night it was like, how do I shoot this shit better? You know, so we'd fuck around with different cameras. I'd fuck around with different lenses. I'd try to find new angles. I'd try to find like moves that I haven't done before. I may have been nervous to shoot before. That me and Dave started calling it sends. Like we'd be like, all right, we're going to send it tonight. And that would mean like we would just like run in front or behind like Beyonce or something on stage. And we know that we're probably in the camera angles that are being shot to the crowd, right? So we might be in the way, but our shot will be dope. So it's like you try to pick and choose your battles. Like, damn, do I go out and fuck up their shot right now for my shot? And then, you know, they always wanted these ill shots, so we just started sending it all the time, and we just call it send it. So you might go out, I might go out and like do this ill pass and get like a really, really wild shot of like Jay doing something dope. And I would like come off to the side and go behind the stage and just be like, whoa! And I'd be like screaming and shit. And then Andrew or Dave or whoever would be like, send it. Like everyone's just yelling, send it. Because you just know you went and sent it like super hard to get the shot. And the shots were crazy. The footage that we got on this tour was just so nuts to me. Like, I don't know. It starts off with you being like very kind of nervous. You got to learn the show. So you're shooting from the pit and you're doing whatever. And at the beginning I had a Ronin. So if you're not a fucking camera person, you might not understand this, but I'll just explain it to you as easy as I can. The Ronin is a stabilizer. It stabilizes your camera. You put your camera on this thing and it just balances the camera really well. So I would move around and get these shots, holding this two-handed thing that balanced my camera. So I'd be all over the place doing it, but I was limited. And then, DJI, the company that makes the Ronin, gave me the Ronin S, which is like a single handheld version of what I had. So it's way smaller. And this changed the game for us because now I can just take this shit anywhere. Before you have to bring a whole thing with you when you wanted to use the original gimbal. But now I have this just like single hand small thing that I can put my camera on and it balances it really well. And not only can I like, get really in tight places and shoot, cinematic stabilized footage, I could add a monopod, like a long tripod to the bottom of it and send this bitch all the way up into the air and get shots from angles that I never could shoot before. That shit changed the game. So it's like that's an example of us trying to elevate our content and find new ways to shoot. So it was always like doing stuff like that, and it made it really, really fun to try to find ways to just create the most fucking wild shit you could think of, and just even this camera I'm filming, if you watch this on YouTube, if you listen to the podcast on any podcast app, like it's the audio format, but I also have video element to it too. So this will be on YouTube, and it's just this camera right now filming me in my kitchen. But the camera that I bought for this podcast, I ended up using a shit ton of times for the tour, which is funny because it's like a handheld dad camera that can zoom and shit. And it's like, like dads filming soccer games and shit when you were a kid. That's what this camera is. And I ended up using this all the time, which made some wild shots. So I've been able to do stuff where I'm like in the back of the stadium and I start out on B and all of a sudden I zoom way the fuck out and it's just this massive stadium. And then I zoom back in and everyone watches it like, what the fuck was that? Because no one's using DAC cams, you know what I mean, to try to film like this content, like creative content. I don't know. Anyway, we pushed each other a lot and tried to make sure we were making the wildest content possible. And I think we did that really well, and I'm happy that people enjoyed what we were making. It's cool to see the response that we were getting, and like just me sharing shit on Instagram. I get these messages all the time from people, and it's really cool to see people respond. And I'm hoping that it's pushing everyone else to like work harder at making show content cool. You know what I mean? Like I feel like we kind of plateau at a certain point, and you don't know how to move past it. So that was the challenge for this tour. It was like, how do I make this shit next level? And I don't know. It was next level to me. It was next level to my previous level of content. So that's cool. What else can we talk about? I'm sorry. This shit ain't structured. I made these notes real quick, and I just felt like inspired to hop on here and shoot the shit and talk about whatever. But my main goals with this conversation were just to let you know I'm off tour. The podcast is back. The creative group is going to be booming, and we're going to do a lot of shit behind the scenes to make the community just more responsive and I don't know how to describe it, but like I want to fuel things like daily topics, and we could all start having conversations on daily topics. The other thing that we need to do is like kind of clean up the group too, and find ways to organize the group and allow people to understand how to use the group better. And that's a whole nother story. So we're going to really spend a lot of time and energy building that out. And on top of it, it's like, for me, I want to create the Black with No Cream headquarters of LA, like a space where, at least for now, probably like, I ain't gonna spend that much money on it because LA is expensive. I'm already got this crib and shit, but the idea would be to get like a little space where I could just have a setup like this, just a podcast setup with lights, and make it sound better in here and get some new microphones and shit, just so people could pop up and do podcast interviews, and we could work, you know, with different interns and Dave, and like just be able to sit down and actually chop shit up and start focusing on like, you know, new ideas and put new things into place for the business side of shit, and try to elevate it and get sponsors and get more finance behind it so that we can start doing more pieces of content. I would love to start creating a shit ton more on YouTube, find ways to live with different creators. Like if I interview, let's say from the past, we'll just go off this, like I interview my homie JR. JR is an amazing VFX artist. He's won fucking Moon Men and shit. Like the dude is crazy with VFX and editing and directing and all that other stuff too. But say we have a conversation about VFX. Now what happens, the podcast was cool and we got a lot out of there, but what if we broke down certain subjects a little bit more and walk through shit? Like what if I was able to sit down with JR or follow JR on a project and document what it's like for him to, from start to finish, doing VFX on a music video or something, and then we make like really ill pieces about that where you could go and see what it's like to live through his eyes and learn all the tips and tricks along the way of what he's doing and cover the shit. Like there's so many things I want to do like that, and I think it could be really dope. So putting it all together right now, you know, I want to make meetups happen more often. Meetups are super crucial. I think what we need to do is a massive first meetup in LA. I don't want to talk too much about it yet. I know a lot of people have been asking about it, and I've never done a Black with No Cream meetup officially yet. I've just met with a few people, but it hasn't been like a let's all meet in one place and try to make some dope shit happen. But I'm thinking like we all meet in LA, we get a dope space, we get some cool people to come talk, like fucking some real seminar shit, something for people to learn. Everyone's able to meet with each other. We get music, maybe create some contests or something like that. Try to get some cool sponsors to give away some gear and shit. I don't know. There's some ideas I got for this shit, but I think that that's going to come soon. And then I really, 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 really want to work with members around the world who are really passionate about Black with No Cream and create like ambassadors in these different cities and countries all around the world that could represent Black with No Cream and start creating like monthly gatherings or whatever it is, like monthly meetups and monthly coffee drinking or whatever the fuck you want to do. But just something where if there's 3 of you that live in Milan, Italy, those 3 people get together this month. Next month, try to bring a homie. That's also creative. Now we have 4 or 5 people. And then, over time, that shit will grow and those communities will become really, really powerful. And not only will they be able to get together and just share the ideas and work together, they can physically go work on projects together and build and create business leads. You know what I mean? Like, the problem is that we all, as freelancers and shit like this, we all feel like you have to do everything yourself. But once you can realize that you can kind of spread yourself out a little bit and work with other people and give something up, you become available to do what you're really, really good at more often if you're willing to kind of give pieces of the pie away. You know what I'm saying? It elevates you. So I think that's going to be really dope. That's it. This podcast might suck. Whatever I'm talking about myself in my kitchen right now may suck. I don't know if this is going to help anyone or if anyone finds this interesting. So I'm sorry in advance. Other things I want to work. Like I said, contests was cool. I would love to partner with different brands and shit so we could get some like gear and stuff and then kind of create little contests, whether it's photo, video contests. Black with No Cream is primarily photo, video people. There's definitely illustrators. The idea of Black with No Cream is that it's a group for creators of all kinds is what I say. So dance, management, you could do speaking, you could do all this different shit. That's what the goal of the group is for. It just happens to be video heavy and photo heavy just because people are coming to the group from me, and the people that follow me are probably photo video people because they like my photo video shit. So that's why they're in there. So I encourage you, if you are not a photo or video creator, to get your creators that are in your circle of what you create to join the community and push their art as well. It's not just for photo video people. It just happens to be primarily that shit. So, but anyways, like I want to create contests right now. It would make sense to do more contests for photo video people because that's who's in here, and do some cool giveaways and challenges and maybe even do collaboration contests where, there's a person in, like I said, Italy having to work with a person in Houston, Texas and make a piece, and they're a team. And then there's people in Russia and a person that's in New Zealand and they have to work and make a piece and they're a team. It just makes us work together, and that's the whole idea, okay? Another thing that we're trying to figure out, because I want to make this, I really want to put as much energy into Black with No Cream in the next 6 months as I did on tour with Beyonce and Jay-Z for the last 6 months. I feel like if I can give every day up and spend all the time trying to make this community grow, and just have complete engagement with the group and find ways to make this shit pop, it's scary where it can go. It's scary how big this community could get, and it's really dope to think of how many people it will help. With 4,000 people in the group, I get messages all the time about how helpful this group has been, and so I want it to grow. One difficult problem with that is fucking time and energy and money. So I'm trying to find ways to accumulate that type of shit. So like Dave, I've mentioned him before, was my intern for Black with No Cream. Dave then was helping me with the podcast and doing all this shit. Long story short, I ended up hiring Dave to help me out with the Coachella shit. He was my assistant for that, and then ended up being my whatever you call it, the dude that helps me not fall off stage when I'm filming. And so he was helping me with that during Coachella, and then we ended up going on tour together, and he shot with me on the whole tour, and we made some fucking ridiculous content from that. And so Dave's been my boy since the jump, and he's going to move to LA soon, but like for us, we really, really, love to hire him for this shit and eventually, like make it so he could live out here and only focus on Black with No Cream and not have to sit there and do stupid shit every day to try to get his rent money. You know what I mean? Same with me. I don't want to do stupid shit. So the idea is that if we could start getting a location that we can start building out as the headquarters, and hopefully that shit could grow over the years where it becomes a place where creators from Black with No Cream could pop in and work on shit. You know what I mean? It's like the Casey Neistat thing, like 368. It's similar to that, but I think that there's a lot that we could do. And so I'm going to try to find sponsors, things like that could kind of help fund this group. I looked at we had this conversation before about Patreon, which is a cool platform. If you don't know Patreon, should just check it out in general. But the idea of it was started by like a YouTuber who made music, and he realized that like ad revenue or not ad revenue, the ad revenue was going down, I think was the situation. And what he found was that musicians or whoever was dedicating all their time making this content on YouTube for their fan base, they weren't able to get the revenue back because of all these issues and whatever. So he made a direct connection between the fans and the musician, or the fans and the whatever creator. And it's cool to me because it looks like something where it's like a membership, it's like a monthly membership space. Like, so an example is just, all right, cool. If Black with No Cream had it, it'd be like, yo, for $1 a month, you support Black with No Cream. For $5 a month, you really support Black with No Cream. And that's it. You could make tier levels of shit. So you could be like, for $50, you get a new Black with No Cream t-shirt every 3 months or something. I don't know. I'm just spitballing ideas, but that's how they set up the platform. And I discussed it with the group before, and everyone seemed really responsive about it, because I don't want to ask or make anything cost money for Black with No Cream. Black with No Cream should always be free, right? The community, I want to always be free. So I just looked at it like, okay, cool. If the rent out here for a fucking 300 square foot room is like $1,500, cool, Patreon could maybe offset that cost for me. So then that's just covered, or whatever it is. So I can get some money for Dave, and Dave could be able to live out here and work on this shit. We could build this out and really get some good content out there and start building an educational program, which is going to be Black with No Cream. So I don't know, looking at stuff like that, and I'll try to roll some shit out over the next, month, and talk about this more often. I think I'll do live streams, like monthly live streams, where we just kind of cover a bunch of topics with the community within Black with No Cream. So I'll start setting up scheduling for that so that everyone can kind of prepare and tune in for that, and we can all have group discussions and figure out where to take this group, because it's all about what we think. It's not just me. I'm just trying to come up with good ideas, but I mean, there's 3,800 other people in the group that have fucking great ideas too. So let's maximize the numbers and really put some good shit out there and find ways to make this community really bang and help everyone out. That's the goal for that. I don't know. Is there anything else I can talk about? I'm sorry, this is me rambling for like 30 some minutes, but that was the goal. I just wanted to get it all out and let you understand where I'm at and my headspace is at. And while I do this, there's several productions I'm going to be working on in the meantime that are parallel to Black with No Cream. But like I said, my goal is to just I just worked my ass off for 9 months straight, and for 2.5 years before that. I really want to fucking go ham on this name, whatever Black with No Cream becomes. I just want to spend all my energy and think about that only. I don't want to be distracted by other shit. So I'm going to try to eliminate so many distractions from myself and try to elevate Black with No Cream for what it can be, and make it the best place possible for all creators to come and learn and connect with each other. That's my goal. That's a good time to end it, I think. Yeah. All right, cool. That's it. So is there anything else? I said I wanted to recommend a podcast. What podcast should I Oh, okay. If you haven't heard a good conversation from the podcast, like when I do the interviews yet, if you're new to this shit, you should listen to my interview with Kai. Kai's an amazing artist out of LA. This dude's art is fucking ridiculous. He's got an ill character that he creates. He's known all over the world. His shit's really famous. And he's one of the last people I interviewed before I left for tour. And just something about our conversation, it ended up being a really long podcast. It's like a 3-hour long conversation. But his stories are so incredible and remarkable in the fact of, like, he really tells you how he got to where he is today. He now is an artist that has people that he hires to help him build and create and do what he does. In LA, like, he's got his own warehouse where they build shit and make things and have a team, and they have lawyers and all this stuff that he came just from his ideas originally as a kid. So to hear how he got to where he is now is incredible. They travel all over the world and do pieces. Like, he works with massive musicians. He's doing collaborative pieces. He just did like a cool thing with G-Eazy, does stuff with Chris Brown. He works with like all these different people. Lil Wayne wanted to buy out all his shit. Like, there's some ridiculous stories about this dude. So if you want to hear a good story, like, to get a vibe of what Black with No Cream is, if you're new, you should listen to the Kai episode. I cannot remember which number it is. I can look it up real quick. Kai's episode, what? Fuck, I don't remember. Kai's episode was number 28. How Kai became a world famous artist. So listen to that shit. It's super good. I love that episode. Like, I listened to it and I was just like getting inspired the other day because I was like, damn, this shit, he really pours it out for this episode. Like he really, and everyone does that. So it's not just Kai, but listen to, start there and then work your way back. And everyone always asks me advice like, hey man, I just want to pick your brain. I want to be a creator, like blah, blah, this and this, like where should I start? And everyone asks me that. And I started this group for that reason. It's like, everyone wants to pick my brain. My brain is not that valuable to it. Everyone else's is. I'm just good at getting it out of people. So what I always suggest is listen to every podcast episode, every interview that I've done. Listen to every single one of those. If you care about this shit, I'm trying to make it so you don't have to go to film school. Go to film school if you want, but I'm trying to like get juicy facts out there that you can't really get anywhere else. So my suggestion is listen to the photographer if you want to be a photographer. Listen to the episodes of a videographer if you want to do that. Listen to an artist if you want to do this. Listen to a poke speaker if you want to do this. But overall, listen to all of the episodes because no matter what kind of creator you are, these stories are valuable for what you do. Indirectly, they are valuable. I promise you. So yeah, tune into the episodes, listen to it, join the community, introduce yourself. That's it. Today is what day? Friday? Fuck. So that means, no, okay. So I should drop this shit. I'll drop this shit this Sunday. And then that gives me a week to get a good interview in. Cool. That sounds like a plan. All right. I love you guys. Black No Cream's the shit. We don't have any merch. I shut the merch store down, but I'll get the merch store open up again. And like I said, that money just goes back into the group and trying to get this thing to pick up off the ground. Maybe I should do a hoodie. It's getting cold out. It's like almost winter. Should I do a hoodie? DM me and say yes or no. All right, cool. That's it. Follow Black No Cream on Instagram. Join bwnc.com/join. And subscribe to the podcast and leave a review if you do have a minute or two. We would love that on iTunes, Spotify, whatever the fuck you listen to shit onto. Okay, that's it. Tune in next week. See ya then, you bitch.